Hey guys, in this video I am detailing the interior of a disgusting farm truck, and I'm going to give you a list of tools and products that are cheap to get, easy to use a lot of because you can dilute them and they are so cheap you don't care about using a lot of them, and I want to explain to you why those are the cheap tools I like to use in a situation like this. What's going on guys? Luke here with Wilson Auto Detailing. Let's go ahead and jump in. The first tool that I want to explain that I'm using here is a pressurized pump sprayer and super clean degreaser diluted about 10-to-1. The interior of the farm truck that you see me detailing here, I'm going to show a lot of different clips of it, has a rubber flooring, okay, so there's no carpet. It's also got what I would call like pleather leather seats. So it's not real leather, right? It's just that kind of plastic coated leather, and then even that leather-ish material underneath that traditional kind of clear-coated plastic protective barrier is not real leather. So the interior of this truck is a great example of cheap manufacturing, right? But in addition to that, it's a farm truck, right? So this is not an owner who's trying to make sure that this truck looks absolutely fantastic. And so this is an area where I almost like to make a video like this to give permission to detailers who are surfing the web, looking at videos on social media, thinking, man, I have to use these really nice products in order to detail something like this. The answer to that is absolutely no. You do not have to do that. And oftentimes you shouldn't do that because it's not economical and it makes zero business sense whatsoever. So let's start with the first two products I mentioned. Super Clean Degreaser diluted 10-to-1. A lot of people will say it's not really safe in a situation like this. I really couldn't disagree more in, again, a situation like this where it's a nasty farm truck, it's gotten seriously beat up, but it's also material that is relatively new. So I believe this is post 2015 in terms of the year model of the truck. The areas where a lot of detailers tend to get in trouble with a product like Super Clean, even at higher dilutions, is on an area that is older and darker. That is not the case here. Now, the reason why I mentioned Super Clean diluted 10-to-1 in a pump sprayer is because when you are cleaning non-carpeted floor like this, that's rubber, and you are having to clean it like I'm having to clean it here, like you can see this close-up, you're going to have to use a crazy amount of product. Now, in this video, you guys see me using different products from Hydrosilics and some other companies. The reason for that is because I was testing some of these products. It's not what I would use in real time in a real-world scenario. The pressurized pump sprayer will allow you to use a ton of product and make your life a little bit easier and quicker. The way that I like to look at interiors like this is like a funnel. So in the beginning, I'm going to spray a ton of product like you saw me do, and I'm going to create a bunch of mud. It's really the only way after vacuuming to get the ball rolling. I'm going to use an initial microfiber towel that I reserve for engines and tires because I'm going to clean up so much nastiness. I want to make sure whatever microfiber towel I'm using to clean up the bulk of it before I get more detailed is one that is already reserved for grime and grunge, and it's going to be separated from all of the other towels. But you can see the sludge I'm pulling up here. Again, Super Clean Degreaser 10-to-1, a pressurized pump sprayer makes this really simple. You can see, even when I'm trying to wipe it up, it's kind of difficult. So after that, I then come in with a steamer and I clean up the residue. That is the easiest way to address this. Now, an additional tool I want to highlight here is a magic eraser. I buy magic erasers in bulk. I do not buy the Mr. Clean brand. I buy the generic brand, and I get them for a lot cheaper on Amazon. I'll look up links to all that in the YouTube description box below so you guys can check those out. The reason why the magic eraser comes in handy on floorboards like this is because after they are cleaned and even after they are steamed, what you will find is that there'll still be some residue or some remnant of some of that dirt that did not get cleaned away, and you can only see it post drying the car. That's when I like to take the magic eraser and I like to clean up the rest of the residue. It makes really quick work of it. Now let me go ahead and jump into the third tool, or the fourth tool if that's where I'm at now, which is the drill brush. It's really important for me to highlight that I use all different shapes and sizes of drill brushes, generally a round drill brush, a 4-inch in diameter brush, and a 2-inch in diameter brush. They come in a pack on Amazon. Once again, I'll link them up below, but this is an area of the detailing tool world where I will buy a bunch of them at one time for cheap on Amazon, and I'll actually go through them relatively quickly on cars like this when I'm dealing with them. So in other words, I'm not going to use the same drill brush that I use on higher end cars, or if I use them on higher end cars, I'm not going to use the same one as I use here. So I will have kind of this boxed away Tupperware bin, 27-gallon tote bin of nasty interior tools and products, and I keep a certain amount of drill brushes in there because those get so beat up and the bristles get frayed and they start to fall off and they are just, again, nasty. I reserve them for this, but they're really easy to get on Amazon in a pack pack of the 2-inch, 4-inch, and round drill brush shapes. And so because of that, I'll buy 4 or 5 boxes of those for like $9.99, stick them in that 27-gallon tote, and just go through them as I need to. Now, another tool that you guys are all familiar with is the rigid 4-gallon shop vac. And I have said this before, and it's not really a shop vac, right? Shop vac is a brand of vacuum, but shop vac kind of denotes the type of vacuum I'm talking about. The 4-gallon, 5-horsepower rigid shop vac or vacuum is what I use professionally, but I always have 2 on hand. One of them you guys have heard me talk about is, of course, just the dry vacuum. The other one is what I use as an extractor, and so I like to attach the Rip Clean Better Extractor Kit to that vacuum. But the reason I'm mentioning it here is not because I did any extracting, but because the same vacuum that I use as a kind of makeshift extractor or a vacuum / extractor, because you get a lot of horsepower out of that machine, and that's why I like to turn it into an extractor. It can be used as a wet, straight up vacuum. So I don't have to extract anything here, but as I'm cleaning the nasty leather seats, the nasty floorboards, there's all this sludge that you guys saw coming up. It can be a lot easier when you are using a vacuum cleaner to have one that is dedicated for nasty stuff like this or dedicated for extraction, and the only thing you change out is the hose, right? So if I'm using it as an extractor, I put on the extraction hose with the suction head. If I'm using it as a vacuum, I put on the classic kind of rigid, hard, coiled hose, and then a crevice tool or something like that. The reason I highlight that is because if I have a dedicated wet vacuum, I can suck up all of the nasty stuff that's in this car, and it's no big deal. That vacuum is dedicated for that nasty stuff. When you use a single vacuum for everything, you do start to get into trouble of just how often you have to clean it, how often you have to change the filter, letting the filter sit out and dry if you don't want to be switching from a dry and wet filter every single time you use the vacuum. So it's just really inconvenient. And because that vacuum is so nicely priced, I think this is a really strategic thing for detailers to do, and it's something that has served me really well in nasty interiors like this. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want a full list of tools and products that every detailer needs, including master dilution ratio charts, PDF summaries, off-label uses, discounts to all of them, I've created a tool called the Pro Detailing Toolbox. It'll be available, the first link in the YouTube description box below, totally free to you. I just think it's something every single detailer should have. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out any of the links that I talked about in this video, they will be in the same exact place. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, thank you guys so much for being involved. Remember, a great detailer is always learning, and I will see you guys in the next video.